In this video, you'll see how to monitor an Amazon Elastic Container Service, or Amazon ECS, application on AWS Fargate using Prometheus metrics. With this solution, you can use built-in dashboards and implement custom metrics to gain deeper visibility into your containerized workloads. Let's start by creating an Amazon Elastic Container Registry, or ECR, repository for a sample application we have already prepared. We'll name the repository Hello Prometheus. Let's view the push commands for our ECR repository. We can copy these commands and run them in our development environment. Let's switch to the directory containing our Docker file. We'll paste in the first push command, which retrieves an authentication token allowing our Docker client to push our data to our ECR repository. Now let's copy and paste the command to build our Docker image. Now let's copy and paste the commands to tag our image and push it to our ECR repository. Our image has been pushed to ECR successfully. Let's return to ECR. We'll copy the image URI, which we'll need to create a Fargate task based on this container. Now let's create a Fargate task definition for our Docker file. We'll select our task execution role and the required task memory and CPU. Next, we'll add our newly pushed container image to our task definition. We'll paste in the image URI we copied a moment ago. Next, we'll provide the port mappings for our container. The first port, 8080, is user-facing. Prometheus will gather metrics off the second port, 9404. We'll leave the other default values, except for the Docker label key value pairs, which must be set for metrics to be collected by Prometheus when it is installed. The first key will indicate that we want to collect metrics about Java Virtual Machine, or JVM, usage. We'll also add a Docker label for the ECS Prometheus exporter port we mapped to the host instance earlier. Now that we've created a task definition for our sample service, we're ready to create an ECS cluster to run it. For the purposes of this example, we have already deployed a CloudFormation template that created a VPC with 2 subnets, an application load balancer, and a security group for the load balancer and our Fargate task. Because we're creating a Fargate cluster, we'll use the networking only template. Next, we'll deploy a service to our cluster that executes our task definition. The task definition we created is automatically selected since we don't have any others. We'll run 2 tasks, so we always have a replica container. Let's keep the rest of the parameters as is and proceed. Next, we'll provide the VPC, public subnets, security group, and application load balancer IDs from the deployed network stack. Finally, we'll configure the load balancer for our running container. We'll enter the target group deployed earlier as part of our network stack. We can provide a health check path for our service. Now, let's deploy our service. When the service becomes active, we can visit the application load balancer address to check if our application is running as expected. Our containerized web service is running successfully. We can also check its status by visiting the service page. Now we are ready to install the CloudWatch agent with Prometheus on our web service. Let's return to our development environment. For the purposes of this example, we'll use a sample CloudFormation template to deploy a stack that installs the Prometheus metrics collector for our ECS cluster. This template requires several environmental variables in order to find our service. We'll run a shell script that sets the required variables and then deploys the stack. To get our security group resource ID, we will use the AWS CLI to look up our network stack outputs. We can copy the ID and paste it into the shell script. Let's do the same for our ECS cluster subnet field. Finally, let's run the script. Our stack successfully deployed. Let's return to the cluster page to ensure the new CloudWatch service is running. Here's the new service we just deployed. Its status is active. Let's go to CloudWatch and see the metrics available to us from Prometheus. A new namespace is available for Prometheus. As you can see, JVM metrics are being collected for several different pool dimensions of our running service. We now have visibility into our container beyond CPU and memory utilization. You've just seen how to monitor an Amazon ECS application on AWS Fargate using Prometheus metrics. You can learn more about this topic in the description and links for this video. Thanks for watching. Now it's your turn to try.